Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be covering the patch 13.3 patch notes, so let's get into it. We're going to see nerfs to a couple of champions, Annie, Amumu, Kassadin, K'Sante, Zerk, and buffs to a lot of engaged supports, and a couple of other outliers which just aren't doing too great at the moment. A couple of system changes. This is the overhaul change which was supposed to ship last patch, is now going to ship in this one. And we're going to see some tenacity adjustments. Radio is getting changed so it's better on better on tanks in the top lane over tanks in the support role. And Umbral Glaive is being adjusted because it's very abusable on Ashe and a lot of other ranged marksmen as supports at the moment. We're going to see ASOL adjustments, and we'll talk about that first. So ASOL's passive is going to be a stacking mechanic. It's going to buff a lot of his abilities in various ways. His Q is going to gain additional damage. His W is going to gain increase distance. His E is going to increase the area and execute threshold. And his R is going to also increase in area. The Q is going to be a beam, which does damage over a duration of time. It's going to have a like a proc mechanic on it as well. Something similar to like a vein, where once you've hit them for a duration on the Q, it procs. So that's going to be a big way of his damage, and it's going to be his core ability. His W is going to be his way of travel. It's similar to his E, but it's got a lot shorter of a duration. The stacks are very much what increases it. So flight speed is going to be 335 plus 100% movement speed, and it's going to increase as he gets more stacks. E is going to be similar to like an Orianna Volt. It's going to do a bit less damage, and it's going to be more of a drag rather than just a one-time pull. His R is a two-parter, where the first one is going to be kind of like a it's going to be a standard ultimate where he just pulls down a star and does damage in an area, and then that has a slightly bigger radius, which doesn't knock up, but still does damage. And then the second part of it, which is the Sky's Descent, transforms his R. Kind of, it'll work similar to like a Corki package, where you're only expected to get like 3 or 4 of these a game. And this will do damage in a bigger area, and the ring crosses most of the map, and the knock-up area is bigger and does more damage. So this is going to all be pretty exciting. We don't really know where ASO's going to land after all these changes, but hopefully it'll be in a good spot, and he isn't like a dominant pro problem. Amumu is going to have his Q mana cost increased. The mana cost is going to go from 40 to 60 to 45 to 65. Fairly negligible amount. His E is going to lose 15 damage flat. This is definitely going to hit Amumu support. And it's going to go up by 5 at max rank. So this is going to break, it's going to break even at 7 points in E. At level 7 when you have 4 points in E. But this will hurt the early levels. His clear is going to be a bit slower. So I imagine this will be a maybe 0.5% loss in the jungle, maybe 1% if it actually does more than I believe it will. And his Q mana cost, it's going to hurt support Amumu, but this isn't going to do a huge amount. This is where we're mainly looking for support Amumu nerfs. For 15 damage lost on base E is going to be quite a significant amount. But Amumu jungle is really strong at the moment, so I definitely recommend playing it. Demonic Rush works really well on this, and Radiant Virtue is actually going to be a really good second item as well. Annie is going to have her passive on game start. This is pretty helpful. It makes her first Q a stun, so damage and CC. Allows you to auto-weave a bit more and to get a electrocute proc. Her E Molten Shield is going to be buffed with the AP ratio from 45 to 55. The cooldown is going to go down from 14 to 10 to 12 to 8. And the magic damage reflect is going to go from 20 to 60 to 30 to 90 and 20% AP ratio to 40% AP ratio. It's going to also retaliate on spells rather than just basic attacks. And it will only inflict damage against opponents once per target. Our Summon Tibbers is going to have an AP ratio on the health increase. The resistance is also going to have an AP ratio subbed on it, 5% AP. And Tibbers movement speed is going to go from 350 to 400 across the game, 375 at 11, 400 at 16. This is pretty huge for Annie. I imagine this will be around, a 2% win rate increase. This is definitely going to help her E and R. And there's a chance that she goes a more Tibbers focused build. Something like Rylai's combined with Liandry's, just make a Tibbers burn build. Demonics is also better for Rangers champions, so we might see this as well. Jarvan is gaining 2 base armor. His W is going down by 1 second and cooldown. The shield strength is going from 60 to 140 to 60 to 140 with an 80% bonus AD ratio. And the shield duration is going down from 5 to 4. This is definitely going to make J4's shield feel a lot more, a lot nicer to use. The cooldown going down combined with the bonus AD ratio is going to make it feel like it has a bit more of an impact. Because the shield value on this was pretty negligible beforehand, but now that it has a bonus AD ratio on it, those high AD builds, you're going to actually start noticing this shield. And if you're around a lot of opponents, this is going to actually shield you for a decent amount. The shield duration going down by 1 second isn't going to mean a lot, because most likely you are going to have that shield burnt through. So I imagine this is probably like a 2% win rate buff. He is fairly bad in solo queue at the moment. Plus the jungle changes will hurt him, but we'll cover those in a second. K'Sante is fairly mediocre in solo queue. Most people struggle to play him. He's very oppressive in the higher ranks and in pro play. His health growth is going from 108 to 114. The Q knockup duration going from 1 second to 0.65 seconds. The Q3 sudden duration is going from 1 to 1.25 to 1 second. The W Pathmaker is going from 0.35 to 0.75 to 0.3 to 0.5. And the resistance loss on all out is going from 65% to 85%. These are some pretty big nerfs to K'Sante. I'm very sad that they're nerfing his displacement. I think K'Sante fits a really good niche of being... well, I say niche. There are a couple of displacement champs in the game, but his strength comes from his displacement. Nerfing it just feels kind of bad because it takes away one of his strengths as a tank, and they're not really nerfing his damage, which is a really core problem of K'Sante's. Kassadin is losing 20 damage based on E, but it's going to even out by, it's going to even out to 180. It will hit even at, it doesn't hit even until you hit 180, so until about level 9. The cooldown from nearby cast is going from 1 second to 0.75 seconds. This is a pretty... this will definitely hurt it. You won't notice, your E won't be up as often. And the R is losing 10 damage at all ranks, and this also means that you're losing 5 per stack. These are some pretty big Kassadin nerfs. I'm definitely happy that they swung a lot harder this time. I don't imagine this nerfs him out of being one of the stronger mid laners, but this is probably like a 2% win rate nerf, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, but this will probably put him onto a 51, maybe close to a 50% win rate. So put him in a more balanced spot. Kayle is gaining 2% movement speed on her passive. This will be when you hit 5 stacks. So once you've hit something 5 times, you'll gain this movement speed. 2% is quite nice, but you won't notice it until 16 when you have it up all the time because you're permanently exalted. The passive on hit is going from 15 to 35 plus 10% bonus AD plus 20% AP to 15 to 35 plus 10% bonus AD to 25% AP. So a 5% AP ratio buff on this. This will be quite nice. This will be 5 damage when you have your Nashus. You tend to go D-Blade on Kayle or D-Shield. You don't tend to see as many Doran's Rings Kayles. So this is 5 damage once you finish your Nashus. It won't be that noticeable. This definitely helps her scaling, but one of the main struggles of Kayle at the moment is she doesn't do a great time through the early game. And as it doesn't address like one of her really big problems at the moment, I imagine this will only be a 0.5, maybe 1% buff, but they are planning on doing more to Kayle with making her able to auto voice casting R, which would be quite nice. Kayn is gaining 2 to 5% damage on his passive as blue. He is losing 5 damage base on the Q, and he is... Oh, wait, no, he isn't. They've actually decided to keep it as the same value. So this was previously 70 to 150, but they've actually kept it and kept the 50% bonus AD ratio. This is a huge buff to Blue Kayn. Blue Kayn will probably be the stronger Kayn and might be the strongest it's been in a long time. This does wonders for his damage. His Q is on a very spammable ability, and gaining plus 50% bonus AD on this, huge. Really, really huge buff. That combined with the passive buff, yeah, this is definitely good for Blue Kayn. I imagine a 2% win rate buff from this. This will put him from like 50 to 52. But Blue Cane was performing not badly. It's people just tend to build the wrong items a lot of the time. Eclipse is actually pretty good on Blue Cane as well. So this will definitely be a big buff. LeBlanc is gaining 2 mana regen. Her mana regen growth is going from 0.8 to 1. Her Q mana cost is going from 50-70 to 50 flat. And the cooldown is going down by 10 at level 1. And 5 by 5 at, well, God. Our cooldown is going from 60-30 to 50-30. That's the easy way of saying it. This will do a bit for LeBlanc. This won't be noticeable. This will also not feel that noticeable either. This will be the biggest of all the changes here, but I think the way LeBlanc wants to play, that this is going to do very minimal. Maybe a 1%, 1.5% buff. She's in a pretty bad spot at the moment. She really struggles to kill a lot of the targets, and ADCs having safety nets at the moment make it kind of hard for LeBlanc to play. Things like Bloodthirster, Gale Force, Shield Bow, Overheal will actually make it harder for her as well. Lee Sin is gaining 10% bonus AD on the Q, and the E is going from 100 to 120 to 35 to 50, 155. Wait, what? One sec. Base damage so increased. Hold up. This is just a huge nerf. This should be 100% total AD, but it says bonus. So I'm wondering if they pulled back on giving the total AD changes. But that means that this is just a massive nerf. This isn't even close. This is a huge nerf to Lee Sin. Yeah, the slow going up by 20 at max rank doesn't do anything compared to a 65 damage decrease. I'm gonna say this probably is meant to say total AD, in which case this is a relatively the same. But if this is bonus AD, this is a huge nerf to Lee Sin. This will be like a 2% win rate drop. If this is total AD, I imagine this will be a 1 to 2% win rate increase. This doesn't seem right. This is a huge enough. Trundle W cooldown is being decreased at all ranks, 18 to 14 to 16 to 12. This isn't going to do a lot for Trundle either. He usually only casts this once during a fight, maybe twice later on into the game. So it will do something, just not a huge amount. Trundle is pretty good in pro at the moment. He's pretty bad in solo queue, but people tend to build him. I itemize him incorrectly, so we'll see. Zac is losing plus 1% AP ratio, plus 1% per 100 AP ratio on his W. His E is going down by 20 at max rank, and his E is also losing 10% AP ratio. This is going to do quite a bit to nerf Zac jungle. It will probably be about a 1 to 1.5 win rate drop. He's pretty strong at the moment. He's also a 4-way flex. He can work in mid, top, jungle, and support. So it's good to see him get nerfed. Definitely a strong champion at the moment. Radiant Virtue is going up in cost by 200. The cooldown is going from 60 to 90. The passive is going, maximum health gained is going from 10 to 15. The total healing is going from 8 to 16 over 9 seconds to 12% over 9 seconds. And the ability Haste Aura has been removed. This is going to be pretty bad for a lot of champs who run this item, who don't have a huge amount of other options. This will make most supports forced to run Even Shroud again. Even Shroud isn't a terrible item, but Radiant Virtue definitely fixed a lot of their problems. It also made them feel more like supports rather than amp bots. But for a lot of champs, Locket isn't a great item. For ones which just want to get in. I think so. Champs like Alistar will just be running Even Shroud over Radiant Virtue. It's going to cost too much, and losing the amp towards teammates is definitely going to hurt it. This is the main change for tanks for a lot of them. Things like Ornn will definitely benefit from this. The problem is you're going to have to be careful that you don't build too much CD on Ornn, otherwise you are going to miss this 90-second mark. Ornn ult goes from like 140 to 100, I believe. So if you have a bit of CDR, you can drop this below 90, and if you're casting art on cooldown, you will just miss out on all this health and the healing. So there are some finicky things with this item. I think this should have been 75 seconds. This is definitely going to hurt it. I think overall this is a pretty big nerf to it. Jack Show feels pretty bad at the moment, so yeah, this isn't great. Umbral Glaive is having its cooldown increased by 10 seconds. The ranged champions will now have reduced damage towards. They will do 2 instead of 3. And trap interactions, it will no longer instantly kill traps, which is quite nice for a lot of champions. This is definitely going to hurt a lot of the supports champs who run this item. Will hurt a lot of them in pro play as well. Will also hurt Graves. Overheal is having the shield value change from 10 to 10 plus 9% maximum health to 20 to 300 on based on champion level. This is a buff level 5 onwards, so this will definitely help with ADCs dealing with like assassins. Plus the mana changes last patch will make this rune feel a lot more usable, definitely. The meta supports in solo queue are right now the solo queue meta is 2-to-1 range supports, which is fine, but they want to change it because of pro. So Alistar is receiving a bunch of adjustments. This is overall a decent buff. This is going to be enough to ally healing, a buff to self-heal. The Q mana cost change, all the mana costs are going down across the board on his abilities, and the AP ratios are being more realistic. They're not as bait. Braum is having the levels on his passive change from 1713 to 1611. Winter's Bite is going from 10 to 6 to 86 cooldown. And the bonus armor and magic resist on Stand Behind Me is going from 10 to 26 to 20 to 40. This is actually a different change to the one he was supposed to be getting, which was going to be some base health regen buffs from 8.5 to 10. This is quite nice. This would definitely help him feel more like a supportive tank. Yeah, this is a huge amount of resist to gain at level 110 here when you max Q first, and then you usually max E, I'm pretty sure. Nautilus is gaining 6 damage based on his passive. Yeah, just across the board. Titan's Wrath is having its cooldown reduced from 10 to 6 to 8 to 6, and the shield strength is going from 40 to 80 to 40 to 80 to 50 plus 50 to 90, so it's gaining 10 at all ranks. Riptide is going from 55 to 175 to 55 to 195, and it's having 20% AP ratio increase on it. This might help Nautilus jungle, possibly. I don't think we will see Nautilus jungle, but across the board, these are just some nice changes to Nautilus. Good changes to for him wanting to be pushed into pro play. Pyke E is gaining 40 damage at max rank. This isn't a huge amount. E is second max ability, so you won't start noticing this until maybe level 10-ish. It's gonna feel fairly meaningless, but it will definitely help his scaling. So, I mean, it's 40 damage. This is a large amount, realistically, but you won't notice it until later on. Rakan is having some changes to help his Q. The cooldown is going from 12 to 8 to 11 to 7. The Q mana cost is going from 60 to 45, and the base heal is going from 30 to 115 to plus 50% AP to 40 to 210 plus 55% AP. This is quite nice. This is 10 flat on it, and it's based on level. So these are pretty nice changes to Q. Q max Rakan might be an option if you want to go a more supportive Rakan build over an engage build. And the W is gaining... Ooh, wait. The W is losing 20 damage at max rank, but it's gaining 10% AP ratio. This is surprising because this shows how this kind of feels like they're incentivizing maybe some more Q max opportunities over W max, with the damage being reduced on it slightly at max rank. So we'll have to see how this one goes. Fresh is gaining 20 magic damage at max rank on Q. His AP ratio is going from 50 to 80. Yeah, this can be interpreted as 0.8 damage per soul. Same with the E, which will be interpreted as 0.6, because this is also gaining 40% AP. This is also gaining plus 20% AP ratio. And the shield per soul is going from 2 to 1.5 on W. So buffs to Q, buffs to E, nerfs to W. This will definitely help Fresh. It will also incentivize maybe like a Q max over W max, which is usually his best build at the moment. Tenacity is being changed to tenacity sources within the same group will stack multiplicatively with each other. Tenacity sources from several groups will stack additively with each other. Okay, English. Group A will be Mercury Turds, an alphabet's change, Elixir of Iron, Iceborne Gauntlet, Legend Tenacity, Unflinching, Mustompo Kanto, Dragon Buff. Group B will be Sivir Dawn, Clans, Modes buffs for Earth, Aram Spellbook, Ultimate Spellbook. Group C will be Ornn Brittle and Garen W. So this is a nerf to Tenacity, but it's definitely a nerf to Tenacity. I can't speak anymore. I've lost that ability. So you're only really going to itemize 1 or 2 of these, otherwise it will just feel bad if you're itemizing a huge amount. This is weird because Legend Tenacity recently got nerfed as well. So I imagine you'll be taking Alacrity most games if you're itemizing things like Mercs and Anathemas. Jungle adjustments. Gold per tree is going down from 30 to 20. Experience per jungle camp has been increased by 5 experience per camp. Vision is going from 240 to 120 to 210 to 120. And turret damage is going up. This is a mess. I don't know what's gone here. It's going up by 20 at max at level 1. That's what they want to do. But this line of text is completely messed up. I don't know why. Jungle companions will no longer deal lethal damage to epic monsters. Sag. Competitive is not really for receiving any core changes. This is just buffs. This is changes towards blind and normal. 4 out of 5 will be able to do a surrender of 15. Behavioral changes, system changes. The practice still staying on too long has been removed. A bunch of QOL for Jax. I did say that they should do this because it was terrible. that skin was so bad to use. Bunch of bug fixes. A couple of QOL. Champion select changes. Bunch of bug fixes and a couple of skins. We're gonna see Heartthrob Caitlyn, Heartache Vi, Heartache Amumu, and Chromus for corresponding skins. So that's the patch notes. I don't imagine this will do a huge amount to adjust the solo queue meta. It's pretty bad at the moment. And this shouldn't do a lot for nerfing pro play either. Radiant Virtue will hit it a bit. A couple of these, like the engage supports, should also affect the pro meta, but for the most part, these don't really affect solo queue that much. So we'll have to see. ASO's the big thing this patch. I'd definitely say ASO is the thing to be excited about, and we'll have to see about the rest of the changes. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.